Good morning. I call to order the meeting of the Philadelphia City Commissioners, Board of Election, for Wednesday, February 7, 2024. This meeting is in compliance under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. The Philadelphia City Commissioners are a three-member bipartisan board of elected officials in charge of elections and voter registration for the city of Philadelphia. Each commissioner is elected to serve a 4-year term that coincides with the municipal election cycle for mayor and city council. The city commissioners set and enforce departmental policies and administer voter registration and conduct elections in accordance with federal and state voter registration and election laws. The city commissioners were created by the Pennsylvania Assembly in 1711 with a focus on taxation and held various regulatory powers throughout the centuries. The commissioners started maintaining voter lists in 1799 and took on more election-related responsibilities, but didn't emerge in its current form until the adoption of the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter in 1951. We will start off with public comments. Before beginning their comments, commenters shall state where they live, or if they are not a resident of Philadelphia, that they are a Philadelphia taxpayer. Public comment is not an opportunity for Q&A. It is public comment, a chance for you to tell us what you think. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to speak. However, I may extend that time at my discretion. Public comment must concern matters only to today's meeting agenda. Finally, it is my responsibility to preserve the order and decorum of the meetings. As such, profane, slanderous, discriminatory, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. Anyone wishing to offer public comment, please step forward.
Good morning. Here.
Good morning. Please state and spell your first and last name for the record and proceed with your comments.
My name's Rich. My name's Rich Garella. That's Garella, and I'm a resident of South Philadelphia, and I'm speaking on behalf of Protect Our Vote Philly. We appreciate that this commission, this board, has been voting on things like the proposed budget, which is never done before. We'd appreciate it more, and I think the public would be served better if such motions actually had the substance of the motion included on the agenda that's distributed. So we don't know, for example, if today's vote on a budget is a revote of last week's, or if there were changes on the budget, or what that budget is composed of. So it makes it very difficult for the public to meaningfully comment. Similarly, there was a item on the agenda last week about the hiring of a GIS analyst. It had no substance of who was being hired and what the salary was. Makes it hard for people to comment. I noticed regarding today's proposal of rules for public meetings that you're saying that public comment has to be on items that are on the agenda. So again, without this detail, it's difficult to do that. Not only that, that rule in itself violates the Sunshine Act, which states clearly that public comment may be on business that is before or may be before this board. The public can't possibly know, especially if you don't tell them, what it is, what the substance of the business is, and as we know, additional items may be added to the agenda under certain circumstances. So I just want to point out that if you enforce such a rule, you would be in fact violating the Sunshine Act, and I think telling the public that there is such a rule is a form of violation of the Sunshine Act. The public should be told correctly what the rule is. So, I mean, would you be willing to consider modifying these rules and behaviors to better the Sunshine Act?
Thank you, Rich. Your time is up.
Okay, I'm just wondering if you would just consider it.
Thank you. Your comment is up. 2 minutes are up. I gave you a couple extra, more than 2 minutes.
Okay, I hope that at some point you would consider
interacting with the public, because
Thank you, Rich.
it's
Have a
your
nice
choice not
day.
to do that.
I'll see you next week, I'm certain. Are there any other speakers? We will now move to report from the Secretary for Email Public Comments. Commissioner Bluestein, are there any email public comments?
There were no public comments emailed by 9:45 a.m.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to old business. First, we have a report from our Directors of Election Administration and Operation, which will be reported by our Director of Elections Operation, Mr. Joe Lynch, and our Director of Administration, Stephanie Reid.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Okay, this is our weekly sunshine update for February 7th, 2024. For our voter registration report, we processed a total of 50,824 registration applications so far. Out of these, 4,070 were sent to us on paper. We're keeping all registration records up to date and making sure they're accurate. We're also seeing a lot of requests for street lists. We sent out 286,000 permanent mailers for voting by mail on February 2nd and mailed 32,338 ID cards this past Monday. It is still petition season, and we witnessed significant engagements with 21 petitioners at Delaware and Spring Garden. Our petition checking hours extended from 8:30 to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, with additional hours on Fridays if needed, and over the weekend from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. For the County Board of Elections report, we're still accepting applications, and the deadline for the primary election mail-in applications is April 16th at 5 p.m. We're also sending out applications to those who receive them annually. You can apply online at vote.phila.gov. So far, we've approved 1,812 vote-by-mail applications. We processed 333 paper applications and 1,479 electronic applications. 4,025 online applications are waiting to be processed. All units were notified this morning to put a full court press on the process of these applications. The deadline for filing Cycle 7 campaign finance reports was January 31st, 2024, covering transactions through December 31st, 2023. If you're a candidate, a political committee, or a former candidate for the 2023 election influencing a city election, you must file a report. If you're using the online system, you may return the necessary documents by February 10th. For our election board report, we have 2,144 poll workers registered for training. So far, 450 have attended seminar training, and 218 have attended express poll refresher training sessions. We're also working on polling location changes and resolving any conflicts by the end of the week. We'll be sending out notifications to confirm the use of polling sites for the April 23rd primary elections. Thank you. That's all I have today.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm delighted to address you today to share some exciting updates from our weekly administration report. First, we'll start with budget and procurement. Our budget and procurement team have been hard at work conducting bid openings for various essentials such as lanyards, election materials, envelopes, and disposable face masks. Orders have been confirmed, approvals received, and we're geared up for further bid solicitations. Additionally, we've established a timeline for the updated logistics RFP and have made significant progress on the required updates for that. For communications, we've been busy redesigning crucial materials such as mail-in ballot envelopes and polling place relocation forms. All mail-in ballot materials have been submitted to the Department of State for approval. We're also enhancing the online presence and developing graphic templates for social media, aiming to create a cohesive and engaging communication strategy. Key dates are being defined for our social media calendar, and we're streamlining the graphics request process to ensure seamless communications. Our engagement staff has made significant strides in planning voter education events and securing locations for voting machine demos. Collaboration with other city departments is key as we work on translating materials and ensuring accessibility for all members of the community. In human resources, the department has been hard at work and has an exciting update. We are welcoming new additions to our team with plans to hire temps, clerk ones, and trades helpers. Preparations are underway for new orientations, ensuring a smooth onboarding process for our expanding workforce. And last but not least, our information technology team is ensuring the seamless functioning of all of our systems. From configuring printers to updating terminals, they've been working diligently to support our operations and ensure the readiness of our systems for all of our offices. In conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude to all of our teams for their dedication and hard work. Together, we are making significant progress towards our mission to serve our community and uphold the integrity of our electoral process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of the Director of Election Administration?
Yes, you may, Commissioner Deeley.
Thank you. It is now the beginning of February, and we are 76 days from the primary. How many clerk ones and trades helper vacancies do we have to fill?
I can get that information from HR and have that for you.
Do you know how many we may have filled to date?
I don't, because the exempt is what I watch day to day. So I checked with Davy on that, and that was on her report, but I can certainly find out for you, and I will get that to you.
Since so-called reassignments are not being brought before this board, can you explain to me the rationale for moving our experienced project manager to facilities and moving our award-winning GIS analyst to project manager?
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. So the person who was doing project management was largely focused on facilities. It was 95% of what he was doing, and he was doing it really, really well. And as we are continuing to expand our operations, we know that that is going to be a pressure point. So he was really happy to take that on as his primary responsibilities. The GIS person moving to project management, he's not giving up all of the GIS. He will be overseeing GIS people, but will have a larger role in determining how we're doing a lot of other things.
Thank you. How many people did we interview for the graphic designer, a new media position, before it was decided?
We did not. We did an internal transfer, or internal reassignment.
So we did a reassignment that Commissioner Bluestein's principal assistant would be moved into that position without interviewing anyone else for that position?
That was the decision at the deputies meeting, yes.
That was your decision?
It was the decision of everyone at the deputies meeting.
Did you discuss it with Commissioner Bluestein or his deputy before bringing it to the deputies for consultation?
I discussed it with, actually I first discussed it with Deputy Commissioner Gowans. And I first discussed it with him, and then I discussed it with Deputy Commissioner Kapenstein to ask if it would be a problem for them if we did.
Based on your previous working relationship with the candidate?
No,
Well, how would you then know that she would be a candidate for graphic designer?
because of the work that she has been doing for this office. So I've seen the work, which is why I first touched base with Deputy Commissioner Gowans to see what he thought about her work and how she had been as a candidate.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you again for all of the hard work that everyone does. We will now hear from Deputy Commissioner Eric Kapenstein with a report from the deputies on the Language Access Committee.
Morning again, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning all. In keeping with the requirements of the 2022 Language Access Expansion Motion, the Deputy Commissioners have prepared a report on the number of ballots cast in Spanish and Chinese on the Express Vote XLs in the 2023 general at the division level. There was a total of 2,371 ballots cast on the Express Vote XLs in Spanish and 493 ballots cast in Chinese. This represents an increase of hundreds of voters from each language group compared to the primary of last year. There were 191 voters who either applied to vote by mail in Spanish or who had previously identified a preference for receiving voting materials in Spanish. Of those, 128 ballots were returned and counted. There were similarly 87 applications for Chinese ballots, of which 55 were returned and counted. This represents a modest increase for each language group compared to the primary of last year. The Deputy Commissioners are hosting a meeting of the Language Access Advisory Committee tomorrow to receive feedback on the municipal election. We look forward to meeting and hearing from the community about what went well and what more we can do to continue improving our language access program. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kapenstein, I'm sorry.
All right.
My eyes are getting, I gotta make this print a little bit bigger. This completes our business, this completes our old business for today's meeting. We will now proceed to new business. We will begin by considering our first agenda item under new business, the proposed public meeting rules for the Board of Elections. Do the commissioners have any comments on this item before we proceed to vote?
I have none.
Commissioner Deeley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. About, I have questions for the Director of Election Administration on the budget. May I ask those questions?
We're not at the budget portion right now. We're at the meeting for the board, rules for the Board of Elections.
My apologies, thank you.
So that was enough?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to motion that this question be tabled until next week so that the rules can be included with the agenda that is posted 24 hours before the meeting so that the public can review it.
Is there a second? There's no second for that motion. If there are no further comments, I move to adopt the proposed public meeting rules for the Board of Elections. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Bluestein, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deeley.
No.
I vote aye. Commissioner Sabir.
Aye. Being moved and properly second. Go ahead myself. The ayes are 2, the nays are 1. With the majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the motion passed. We will now move to the next agenda item, the fiscal year 2025 budget proposal to the mayor for inclusion in the mayor proposed budget. Before we begin, I should clarify that it was brought to the attention of this board that the public notice for the January 31st, 2024 Board of Elections meeting, although available on the City Commissioner's website on January 26th, did not appear in print until January 29th, which may be later than the required by the Sunshine Act. Out of abundance of caution, this board has determined that the best course of action to address potential concerns is to consider and vote on the actions the board took at the January 31st, 2024 meeting. During today's meeting, we will do that now. Do the commissioners have any comments on the proposed budget before we proceed to vote?
Mr. Chairman, yes. First, I apologize. I went out of order with the agenda earlier, so I do have questions for the Director of Election Administration on this budget. May I ask them?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Last week, I asked if we could submit an actual operating budget. Looks like you are now requesting over $2.6 million in additional funds that are not included in the budget. You said that you needed to confer with your staff. I received no answer, and you returned this week without an actual operating budget. What was the result of your conference?
I mean, you do have a budget, so I think I don't understand the question you're asking. It was sent around to everyone.
Yeah. We need the actual operating budget with you have additional justifications, additional stuff, but we are looking for an actual operating budget, the full budget.
It was sent around to all the commissioners in advance.
That's,
Yeah, I mean,
it
we
doesn't
can,
include over the $2.6 million in additional funds that are not in it.
those are in the justifications.
It's not in the budget.
It's in the, so the way that the budget office wants that submitted is that that gets submitted as a separate justification. That is the rules that they ask us to follow.
But it needs to be shown in the budget.
That is how you show, that is how the budget office asks you to show it in the budget.
Okay, we'll move on. 71-53I, voter registration. Last week, you said that you were going to correct the placement or listing of the voter registration administrator, yet it remains unchanged. Can you explain why there was no change made?
I'm going through it. Yeah, so honestly, the reason is because of everything needed to be revoted. So we were trying to get it all together at this meeting. So, I mean, that's the answer. I think
So
that's
everything
the
needed to be
confusion we had.
revoted, so you couldn't correct the voter registration administrator, but you did add 2.6 million in additional funds.
Yeah, we will correct it.
Okay. Thank you for adding the computer user support specialist line back in. However, we had a computer support specialist in November, so it would have been in our incremental run. Are you willing to make that correction?
Yeah, yeah, of course, we'll check the incremental run.
I see that we are still reducing our clerk ones by 5. I asked last week why we would be eliminating staff in a presidential year. You said that you needed to confer with your staff. I have received no answer, and we're still cutting staff. What was the result of your conference?
Yep, so I'd be happy to go over staffing. On the front, I understand why it looks that way, but our budgeted staff number for FY24 was 179. However, there were many positions that remained vacant throughout the general election. In November of 2023, the office reported a total staff count of 136, with 43 positions vacant, resulting in a 24% vacancy rate. By filling vacancies and adding an additional 22 people through justifications, we will see an overall increase of 65 positions, representing a 48% increase over the number of staff scheduled to work during the general election in FY25 over FY24. This should leave us well prepared.
Yet you are reducing the number of clerk ones by 5, budgeted clerk.
30 clerk ones.
30 clerk lines, yeah. So I have been assured that all of this is what is needed for those operations by the people who run those operations. We have looked at these numbers over and over, and I trust the people who run these parts of the operation to tell me if they have the staff that they need. We do have an increase over last year if we fill these positions, which is what we're working to do right now.
So we are eliminating this staff, and there was a cut of 5 clerks.
Yeah, so what it is we're asking for 6 more to justification, which gives it a total net 1.
We have a decrease in clerk ones by 16. 3 of them became clerk 2s. 2 were shifted to electronic poll book responsibility center, and the 6 you asked back on your additional request. Still, that leaves a reduction of 5 clerks in the department. And that we promoted to new clerk 3 positions, the ones that we promoted to new clerk 3 positions still need to be backfilled by clerk 1s.
So we can look into this. What I can tell you is that the total number of staff is, a lot of this is that positions were not filled. You might have had them budgeted, but they were not filled. So if you look at what it took to run the election this past year in the general election, we have built on that. So a lot of this, You just have to look at the total number of people that are going to be working.
Okay, it's a so comparing the general election that we just went through with a presidential election is irrelevant to me. So you're saying we are eliminating 5 based on the information you've gotten from the people that know the work?
No, we are not eliminating 5, but I will find out and get back to you.
There's also 5 trades helpers.
There's 5 trades
Not-
helpers. Some of this is how things are classified, so the classifications have changed on some of these, so.
Okay, we'll move on. We're going to move to the admin, 71-53I, principal assistance. The rules passed on January 10th, 2024 set the city commissioner's office staff budget at $1,080,000. That is how much is budgeted for principal assistants and deputies. However, a clerk 3 has been reassigned to serve as an assistant to you and the director of operations. It is my understanding that you intend to move a clerk 3 from civil service to principal assistant to serve as an assistant. Before we even get to the principal assistant, I would like to start with the assistant role for you and Joe. Can you point to me where in our fiscal year 2024 budget is this clerk 3 for your use, and where were they moved from?
We have a huge surplus in that budget. We talked to the budget office and it passed budget check.
Okay, can you show me where it is in the budget?
No, I cannot because it was not budgeted. But there is an underspend in class 100
Right, but for next year?
for next year. Yes, I should be able to. It's in a justification.
Tom, Commissioner Deeley, you said that you had questions, so right now, you're actually making comments and questions. So, we are the time, so it's scheduled so you can ask a few more. So questions, we had deputy meetings where sort of the back and forth, and Stephanie was available for everyone. We had these deputy meetings where a lot of these things should have gotten worked out. So again, so I'll give you a little bit more leeway. Can you just ask whatever question that you wanted to ask the election administrator and not make the comment before?
Okay.
So ask her a direct question and then she can answer it. She may not answer, she may send you over some things. But again, in the interest of time, we do, that's why we have the deputy meetings. And so all week, if anybody wanted any input into the budget, you could have had that sort of input.
Thank you. Back to the fiscal year 2025 budget proposal in front of us. Where in the budget is this additional principal assistant at the proposed salary of $70K?
Yeah, it's actually, we have it listed as assistant director and it needs to be updated. It's in a justification.
So it's not.
We just didn't update the title. Yeah.
Why does this position need to be exempt? And what in their duties makes it so it cannot be performed by a civil service clerk 3?
I might not be the best person to answer that question. I definitely rely on HR to help guide me through that. But we did look at the specs and we did do it in consultation with HR. So I'm not going to try to make something up for you about that. We looked at it both ways. This position already existed within the department and it is very well aligned with the work that she is doing. So HR said that that would make the most sense. And that's both within our department, but also HR on the city side.
Thank you. Our payroll clerk was recently promoted to a clerk 3. So we now have 3 clerk 3s in HR and 0 payroll clerks. Are we willing to correct this?
We have two clerk 3s in personnel.
Well, Joe Lynch, if you're going to come and respond.
Sorry, yes, I think.
Please come to the microphone and respond and identify yourself, please.
Yes, Commissioner, I believe we have 2 clerk 3s in personnel right now.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. It is my understanding that our payroll clerk was recently promoted to a clerk 3.
Correct.
So that would be 3.
Unless a third one that I won't name is a clerk 3, I'm not sure.
Okay, you will look into that and get back to me.
Yes, thank you.
The position of the Director of Election Operations is a new position, not a name change from Executive Director. So executive director needs its own listing that it was previously, how it was previously budgeted and on the incremental run in November, then not budgeted in 2025. Director of Election Administrations should be listed like Director of Election Administration as a new position. Are you willing to correct this?
Understood, yep.
I see that the Deputy City Solicitor is on the budget. The Deputy City Solicitor is not on our budget. Per the charter, the Deputy City Solicitor has to work for the law department. While the department has had a lawyer on staff in the past, a Deputy Solicitor has more force per the election code and the city charter, which is why that route was chosen. While we are currently funding the position, a joint request needs to be made with the law department for additional funding for them to fund the position long-term. If not, if we are going to continue to fund the position, it should be listed as 199 funds. Are you willing to correct this?
Yeah, of course.
A new position for election facilities manager did not exist in 2023, so it wouldn't have shown up on the incremental run. Are you willing to correct this?
Hold on, just, we have the matter that we're gonna vote on. So again, these decisions cannot be made, we already are at the time, so we cannot make sort of any additions. What we are talking about is this budget proposal right here, which is on the agenda, which every commissioner sort of had. So Commissioner Deeley, if he doesn't have any more questions, again, we're gonna have to move to the vote. And again, I gave you more than enough time to ask the questions. And we're going to move to adopt the fiscal year 2025 budget proposal
I have a Sunshine
to the
Act.
mayor
I have a Sunshine Act
for
objection.
inclusion and the mayor proposed budget. Is there a second?
Could I be recognized for a Sunshine Act objection?
Is there a second?
A Sunshine Act
Second.
objection may be made at any time during a meeting.
Properly
Mr.
Seconded. I ask the secretary,
Commissioner.
please call the roll.
May I be recognized for
Chairman.
a Sunshine Act objection?
I ask the secretary to please call
It
the
is the
roll.
law of the state of Pennsylvania that any citizen can object to a perceived violation of the Sunshine Act at any time during the meeting. May I be recognized to make this objection?
Okay?
Thank you.
Just before let's do this again, just why don't you ask the chair to be recognized, because we still have decorum with our meeting, so the yelling and the shouting is not necessary.
I did ask.
No, you didn't. You want to come up to the microphone?
Sure. I have to have some way to call your attention.
It's fine, it's fine. Again, you not do this, but you come on up, you have a seat.
Absolutely.
Again, can you state your name again for the record, please?
Yeah, my name is Rich Garella, and I'm making an objection to a Sunshine Act violation, which is that this board is now voting on a motion to adopt a budget that the public has never seen, either this week or last week or even now as you're voting on it. What you're doing is hiding the content of a motion inside an unpublished document. I know in some cases you do publish the documents, like the rules belatedly handed out today, but it is not deliberation of a motion before the public if the public cannot be aware of what the content of the motion is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Being
Mr.
moved-
Chairman, may I now speak on the motion?
We already gave you time to speak on it. Madam Deeley allowed you to have questions. So now the position that we're at right now, it already been properly second. So being moved and properly second, I ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Commissioner Deeley.
No.
I vote aye. Commissioner Sabir.
Aye. The ayes are 2, the nays are 1. With the majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the motion passes. We will now move to other business portion of our agenda. Commissioner Deeley, do you have any other business to be raised at this meeting?
Thank you, I do not.
Mr. Bluestein, do you have any other business to be raised at the meeting?
I have none.
Thank you, Commissioners. Hearing no other business, I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
Mr. Bluestein, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deeley?
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Sabir?
Aye.
Okay.